Hi Ronnie, it's Bev, XR Health Examiner. Okay, let's start with your error list. Okay, I'll go through it. The family connection is weaker than before. You would say has become weaker than before. Okay, because it's something that still exists. All right. Families are becoming closer. Fine. Family bonds have improved. Remove the word been. Okay. Mobile phones, tablets, internet, regardless of where they are located. In 2013, the frequency of family communication among international students, take out the word has, among international students tripled in comparison to that of 20 years ago. There is improved interaction among family members. The issue of legal protection for these assets, good, despite the benefits of copyright laws, protective systems, S there and no S there. Protective systems fail to motivate. There is ample evidence to suggest, good, basic science was developed, scientists could not, and nuclear technology would not have been discovered. Good. Let's move down to the next part of your page. Okay, start from here. Protection creates barriers for innovations. It's easy to establish a monopolistic economic environment, the world's largest, and it is difficult for competitors. Customers have less choice. Legal protection should not. These resources are dairy products at more than, for those under 24 years old, meat constitutes half of the contribution, good. In the over 50 group, pulses became the largest energy source at around 63%, while meat, dairy, and vegetables varied, IED. Males from different age groups, okay, in the UK have a different preference regarding calorie sources than S. Both dairy products and vegetables became less favorable with older males. Take out the word the. All right, let's move down to pack 2. All right, so pack 2, technology is becoming, that's fine. The software and devices were good. Improves efficiency and effectiveness of people's lives, good. This is because if devices fail to serve the function of being easily adaptable, the market share of Nokia decreased. This is probably due to the over-reliance on easy accessible information. They would forget the contents of what they had learned within 2 weeks. Okay, the trends may continue in the foreseeable future. The bar chart shows the expectation of tourists from 3 countries, Mexico, Canada, and the US in 2018 to 4 destinations in Europe. London is expected to be the most popular destination. Good. Paris is comparable with London in that it is expected to see. It is forecasted that this would be the destination of choice for Canadians at approximately 65,000. This is closely followed by American tourists, 60,000, while only 20,000 Mexicans are expected to visit. Okay, good job on those errors. Okay, it's one of the best ways to learn is through your errors. Okay, now let's take a look at your task 1. Okay, so the 3 pie charts show the proportion of spending in 3 British councils. Okay, be careful of this terminology. It sounds like the Language Institute, British Council. You need to say in 3 UK city councils, okay, because they're talking about local government. Okay. Among the 3 regions, education, you would say, you need to swap that around and say, Yorkshire's spending on education was at around 40%, followed by Lancashire at 35% and Derbyshire at 25%. Derbyshire spent the most on leisure activities at about more than 40%. This was closely followed by Lancashire at around 35% and Yorkshire at a quarter. If you say a quarter, you need to say at a quarter. If you say at a quarter, then you're going to have to say a quarter of something. Okay, so it sounds like you're saying a quarter of what Lancashire spent. So here, keep it at the percentages, and Yorkshire's expenditure was at 25%. Okay, community care, not occupied, but accounted for. Community care in Yorkshire and Derbyshire accounted for 13 and 15% respectively of the expenditure, whereas the figure was less than 10% in Lancashire. Expenditure on the environment showed a similar proportion, for the three councils, because you were referring specifically to those three councils. That is, between 5% and 10%. The number was comparable to the category of other expenses, which ranged from 5% to 12%. It is worth mentioning, good phrase, that Derbyshire had the lowest spending on social services at only 2%, while Yorkshire and Lancashire had approximately 10% respectively. Overall, education and leisure expenses consisted with a majority of council expenditure. I would swap that sentence around and say the majority of council expenditure was on education and leisure expenses. Full stop. This is in comparison to community care, social services, environmental issues, and other expenses which were in relatively small proportions. Okay, good. All right, let's go to. I would say with this one, you've answered it very well. You would probably get very close to a 7. You've brought in all the highlighted all the main points. You've made a comparison, and your language is good. Your vocabulary is good. Just be careful about this one here, okay? And they're talking specifically about 3 city councils, so it is specific. So just make sure that you use the as a definite article and don't write British Council as it sounds like the Language Institute where people go and actually study English, right? Okay, let's have a look now at your task 2 response. Okay, the issue of education has grown in importance, I would say, over the years. Okay, year on year means more when you're comparing one thing against another. Okay, go and check how to use that effectively. Okay, over the years or over the past decade or in recent years. Okay, traditional education has stifled students' talent, yet even though alternative ways do exist. Okay, this essay will focus on both issues, using examples from the great scientist Albert Einstein to demonstrate points and support arguments. Good. On the one hand, there is ample evidence to suggest, a great phrase, that the old education method exerts adverse impacts, full stop. In particular, or it especially restricts children's creativity. This is because students have different abilities and hobbies. I wouldn't say hobbies, I would say inherent talents, or I don't know if you want to say varied interests. Okay. Okay, full stop. By doing so, this would equip them with similar skills and knowledge in the same way they are equipped in the same way as mathematics and languages do. Okay, what you're saying here doesn't quite make sense. The sentence here is a little bit confusing, those 2 sentences, okay? You're saying that because students study subjects like maths and languages, this limits their talents in other aspects. It doesn't limit their talents, but it doesn't give them an opportunity to express their hidden talents. Okay? For example, in the area of arts and music. Okay, so you may want to phrase that a little bit differently. I would break that up into two sentences and make it a little bit more clear. The point there is not that clear. Okay. For example, the well-known physics scientist Albert Einstein lacked language ability and even could not talk until the age of 4. He was treated, I wouldn't say as a disadvantageous child. I would say he was treated as perhaps a learning challenged child in the traditional education system until he discovered his intelligence in physics. I don't know if you can discover your intelligence, but discovered his inherent and natural understanding and ability his natural ability to understand physics. Okay, thus traditional education can be detrimental to students' development. Okay, good. Let's just go down to your last two paragraphs. Good. On the other hand, a talent-oriented education system should be employed to take the place of the traditional examination-oriented teaching method. To be specific, in primary education, teachers should focus on discovering students' potential, take out the S, rather than teaching all the students similar subjects. If children show or display abilities in different areas, they should be fostered separately by their strengths. In the higher education stage, universities will take the responsibility to explore students' talents. And full stop. Okay, they will be prepared. By doing so, the students will be prepared to thrive on their intelligence based on their fundamental education. Okay, I'm not sure what you're saying there. I think what you want to say is that their natural talent and intelligence can be nurtured and further coached for them to arrive at a higher level in their education, but based on their natural abilities or where their talents lie. Okay, you need to explain that a little bit more. It's not very clear. However, well-trained teaching staff, no S, staff is already plural, play a very key role, you might want to say, in identifying children's abilities. Otherwise, this system would not be successful. In conclusion, traditional education is massively producing students, no apostrophe, okay, with similar knowledge and skills, which largely limits their potential diverse development. A talent-focused education system should be implemented to nurture children to become more creative. Okay, very good essay. You've made some excellent points. Just be careful to keep the sentences simple so that the reader can follow your argument. You've answered the question well. You would be looking probably at a 6.5, possibly a 7. It's just the coherence is a little bit difficult to follow. You may not quite make a 7. Okay. You would get 7 on everything, but your coherence and cohesion, you might only get a 6. So you might be looking at 6.5. Okay, but overall, very good work, Ronnie. Okay, keep it up.